So I'm Rick Velayo, and screw this. You guys are Aussies, you can figure it out. Okay, so I represent the time that Brad spent in Manila.
Yay!
And so Brad and I were just got to be the best of friends. And that's why when this happened, I'm the one that flew out and arrived Wednesday from San Francisco because I needed to be here for him. And I needed to be here for the family, and I needed to be here, quite frankly, for me. So, going a little, I did put a little script over here to keep myself on point because I've known Brad for over 50 years. And it just like Mark said, there's some stories that just cannot be told. Just can't happen. In fact, Mark, when you talked about the Lacoste, one of my favorite shirts that Brad had was this yellow gold velour, long sleeve Lacoste, pullover, whatever, that Sue had then taken a alligator from another shirt and sewed it right on top of the other alligator. Oh my God, that was incredible. At this freaking age, you got to put the glasses on. Thank you for letting me be here and speak for him. And you know, they initially told me that I was going to be the first one that was going to speak up, and now you give me you let me wrap up. Thank you. You know, a quick story about which is going to be a little bit significant here of how close Brad and I were. 2 years ago, I lost my wife of 35 years, Joanne, and a particular night I had just an emotional episode, and it was about, I lived in San Francisco, so you know that's West Coast time, and about 8 o'clock that episode kicks in. I figured, God, I gotta talk to somebody. I can't call anybody in the East. It's too late there. So it was Brad I called. Here I was just crying away, and he was that close to me that he was there. He picked up the phone and he talked me through it, and he got me through it. My friends, that's what family does. And here's the thing that I've learned. Unfortunately, I've done quite a few memorials, you know, while I think about it. Before I get too far into this, we were talking about various little things about Brad. Part of it is the Hawaiian shirt, but just as importantly, in order to honor him, is the shirt that's underneath. We are talking about rock and roll. We're videoing it it's going to go on Facebook. I mean, as we all know, Brad was Mr. Facebook Messenger. Living hell.
Stop sending me that shit.
Living hell. I mean, you know, this weird call would come on, the weird Facebook ring would come on and go, oh Christ. So I'd pick it up and I'd go, Brad, do you know what time it is? Of course the answer was no. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. And you know, there were many times that I just didn't friggin' answer. But you know, that's Brad. But then, you know, we got close enough, and one of our standards, talks was, we were brothers from another mother. I mean, you know, it's a cliche, but we were that close, and everybody, you know, from, you know, especially from the Manila days. I mean, they just knew. After I posted it about Brad, I mean, so many people reached out and just said, you know, Rick's close to Brad, and That's what he got to know. So I'm going to pick a word, family. That's what I do at memorials. And then I use a word, and that's how I identify with whomever it may be. And so with family, that's where our International School of Manila family, he called everybody, again, back to Facebook Messenger, but he called everybody around the world because it was an international school. We have friends from around the world, okay? And he would call everybody, and it was just amazing how he just reached and touched everybody. As for myself, one of the things with family was I keep tearing up every time I see a picture of Sue, because I was just as close to Sue during those days. In fact, Sue was my high school senior prom date. I mean, and so when she passed in 2011, another good friend, Mary Mulcahy, and I'm going to throw her under the bus a little bit later on. With Mary Mulcahy and I would always send a message and say, Brad, thinking of you tonight, and it was always on Sue's birthday. But here's the thing. In 2016, I graduated with Brad in 1976. In 2016, what was organized was a 40th anniversary reunion cruise from Miami into the Bahamas and back. So off to Miami we go. We have a thing, and everybody knows about it. Brad knows about it. On the morning that we depart or embark, I get a call. And it's Brad. It's that friggin' crazy ring. And it's like, whatever, 7:30 in the morning, Miami time. And it's Brad. And Brad tells me the story. That calendar morning, Brad and Jill had brought Sue's ashes with them over to Bondi and spread her ashes in the sea. The significance of that, choosing that particular calendar morning was this. Because we were embarking that day on our cruise, and he knew that we were going to be doing this, by spreading Sue's ashes, that would mean we were off to a nice tropical place. We would go off into the waters, and by that, Sue in the world's ocean would touch us. That's how spiritual Brad was. And his message was, please tell everybody. Now this is the point where I am going to read, because afterwards, Brad and I had an exchange, social media exchange, and he allowed me to be able to say the word. But the reason I'm going to read it is because it shows how close we were, and quite frankly, if anybody's ever received any sort of email from Brad, you know that how eloquent he was. Well, I was accused of being that too, so we just traded eloquence. Okay, now I'm going to read the verbiage. Brad, brother, I only hope I did you proud. After your request that I share your message of what you and Mom did on the day we departed, I chose the cocktail party on the second night to do the deed. When everybody got there, I, with my naturally loud voice, got everybody to quiet down. I then shared that you and Mom had a little ceremony that day that we departed. I told everybody, as you asked, of the significance of that date, and that Sue is now with us in spirit in the ocean. We cheered you. It took every ounce plus more of composure for me to finish without breaking up, but I did it. Afterwards was a different story. Love you, brother, and it was truly an honor that you called me and asked me to do that for you. As already noted, a tear or two were shed. I would do anything for the Bloodworths. Now I'm going to read to you Brad's response from Brad. I have taken a little while drinking in the depth of emotion this has brought to both Mom and I. Did me proud? My beautiful, crying, and sensitive Rick. I was so deeply touched and indebted, as well as more emotionally and spiritually attached to all my classmates, to which I treasure greatly. But you, Mr. Velayo, are, as we call here in Oz, an entirely different cup of tea. Do you guys really say that? You do. I trust you. That's my second mistake. I am truly honored to call you my friend. Thank you from both Mom and I. My brother, I know Sue enjoyed looking in on you as all of other departed peers reveled in the reunion. Love you, bro. And as always, your lifelong friend, Brad. That was the very fellow that each and every one of us know. And now, where I throw our friend Mary Mulcahy, who was Sue's great friend, under the bus. Right after I did that, because I had to keep it secret, and I couldn't say anything until that happened. And so right after it happened, with the big cry fest, she calls me over, and she called me quite a few names that would make even you Aussies blush. And I know you guys have mouth like sailors. But the biggest thing, quite honestly, that cemented the word family, where it includes me, into the Bloodworth family was receiving a call from Brad. And it was that he had just dropped off Odin and Sam at the Sydney airport, and they were on their way to San Francisco, and could they call me? Could they call me? Of course they could. So they did reach out. I took them to a great restaurant in San Francisco, and I made darn sure that they understood that their Aussie dollars were not good around me. So yeah, no, I took care of them. You know what? Because that's what family does. In conclusion, what's clear, it's got to be stated. Brad loved his Odin and Zach. He talked about you all the time, and he loved you guys to death. And Sam, when we talked, it was with a note of admiration. So Brad, my friend, with those new lungs, breathe in that heaven air and give Sue and Jill a hug for me. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it.